ATI offers many force torque sensor options for your FANUC robot application. We offer FANUC-Ready kits that include most components to get you started. In this video, I'll show a general overview of how to install your ATI kit onto the FANUC supplied equipment. Keep in mind that the specifics of each application may be different, but I'll go through the typical mechanical and electrical installation in this video. The ATI sensor kit part number depends on the diameter of the robot's wrist flange and the ATI sensor model. The various sensor models need different interface plates and cable configurations. Refer to the ATI FANUC-Ready manual and the FANUC product manuals for a list of FANUC supplied equipment. This includes a serial converter unit and software options. Sensors of various sizes are available from ATI for sensing different load ranges. Some have a built-in adapter plate, and others need an interface plate. ATI's kit comes with all the hardware needed to mount your selected sensor to the robot. The kit will also include the cables from the sensor to your robot and power supply connections. A sensor cable connects from the FT sensor to a splitter cable or splitter box. The splitter has a serial branch that goes to the FANUC supplied converter board and another branch that goes to a separate customer supplied 24-volt power connection. For the exact power specifications, refer to the ATI sensor manual. Force torque sensors have load limits. If these loads are exceeded, even when the sensor is not powered on, the sensor can be damaged. Refer to the ATI documentation for your specific sensor model, and keep all applied loads within the calibrated range. Be particularly careful of moment or torque loads on small sensors. A sensor can be mounted as one of two attachment types. For a hand type, or wrist type, the force torque sensor is installed on the wrist of the robot arm. For a fixed type, the sensor is installed external from the robot, usually on a table or under a fixture. I'll go over hand type in this video. Jog the robot to a position that provides easy access to the wrist. Select a U-tool that uses the default tool axes, that is, a U-tool with no rotational component. Make note of which axis is which, with respect to the flange. In the tool frame, jog the robot slightly in each direction, X, Y, and Z. For easiest setup, the sensor axes should align with these robot flange axes. Use the interface plate provided in the FANUC-Ready kit to mount the sensor to the robot wrist. Some ATI force torque sensor models have a removable mounting adapter plate, or MAP. Others don't and only have add-on interface plates. Bolt the sensor to the interface plate. Refer to the ATI force torque sensor manual or kit drawing for detailed mounting instructions. Connect the sensor side cable to the sensor. Carefully align the keyways. Push in and tighten. If your sensor has a connector support bracket, tighten the M5 screw. Secure the connector to the bracket so that it remains stable as the robot wrist moves. Pass the cable through the P-clip. On the P-clip, check that the M5 screw is tightened. Route the sensor side cable. Install any ATI or user-provided cable management brackets or clips. Never use zip ties on the cable jacket. You can find the minimum bend radius and other cable specifications in the ATI manuals. For the sensor cable, refer to the specific ATI sensor manual. For the FANUC-Ready cables on the robot side, like the splitter cable, refer to the ATI FANUC-Ready manual for cable specifications. Verify that the sensor connection is tight. Ensure that there is no tension on the sensor connector. Leave enough service loop for robot motion. Confirm that the sensor axes align with the robot default axes. If they do not, check the interface plate installation. FANUC-Ready sensor kits are intended to align. If misalignment is expected in your application, make note of the degree of rotation. On your FANUC controller, switch off power, open the controller's door, and lock out either the switch or the main disconnect to the controller. Place the FANUC serial converter board on the FANUC supplied mounting bracket. Tighten the 4 M3 screws into the 4 corners of the board. Then, per FANUC maintenance manual for your controller, install the bracket with the serial converter board inside the controller. The mounting location and cable connection point varies for each controller model. On the FANUC supplied cable, verify that the connection label on FANUC's connector matches this label beside the plug on the board. Route the other ends of the FANUC supplied cable to the power and signal connections on the main board. On each cable connector, the connection label will match the label on the board. Some controllers may only require one connector for both power and signal. To locate these connections, see the Connecting the Communication Unit section of your FANUC controller maintenance manual. Pass the serial side of the ATI supplied cable through the controller's cable entry plate. Use FANUC's cable clamp to ground exposed cable shield to the controller's earth plate. Some cable models may not include an exposed cable shield. Use any cable management points available in the controller to secure the cable. Insert the serial connector on the ATI supplied cable into the remaining plug on the FANUC serial converter board. Remember that the ATI FANUC-Ready sensors need a separate power connection with a 24-volt nominal voltage. For the exact power specifications, refer to the ATI sensor manual. There are multiple options for supplying power to the sensor. Either connect the 5-pin M12 connector to a user-provided power supply, or an optional ATI-provided wall power supply, or connect the flying leads of the sensor's cable directly to a user-provided power supply. Aligning the keyways, connect the ATI splitter cable to the sensor cable. Depending on the sensor model and cable configuration, you may also need an ATI-provided splitter box. Turn on or plug in the power supply. After the sensor's LED startup sequence, the status LED should remain green. Remove locks and tags per your site's Lotto guidelines. Close the controller's door and switch on power to the controller. In the next video, I'll go through how to set up the ATI sensor in FANUC Force Control software.